Okay, let's have a little conversation when it comes to being a stay-at-home mother. As a Black mom, I am so grateful I made the decision to not have a career. Now that I have my own children, I just feel like I have to be there for them emotionally. Your children are going to require a lot of you. They're going to be crying a lot. They're going to be fussy. They're going to have tantrums. And that's natural. And no one told me that. I looked into a little bit, I don't like to call it gentle parenting, but I looked into conscious parenting, biblical parenting. And as a mom, every single day I have to consistently teach my toddlers how to, I wouldn't really say behave, but treat each other, how to talk to me and my husband, how to clean up, how to work through their own problems. If I would have had my career and threw them into daycare or threw them to somebody else to take care of them, guess what? My principles, they're learning somebody else's principles, and it would just be uncomfortable for me. Right now, my oldest is 5, and I'm seeing the fruits of my labor. What I have taught her, she is learning, and it's like, oh my goodness, this is me. This is my teaching. This is, I'm not sending her to school, and I'm not sending her somewhere else so somebody else can teach her what's conflicting to I'm teaching her. And I'm teaching her a lot of biblical value, that there's only 2 genders. There's male and female. One thing that I do regret, having technology introduced to them too early, a tablet or television, something that I don't recommend. I know sometimes as moms, we get so busy and we need to get things done around the house, but I highly recommend doing something where they can use their brain and figure things out. My daughters, they love to color, they love to build stuff. So getting things that, even like things that you have around the house, if you can't afford toys, which I recommend you don't buy any toys. A lot of the toys that I have were given to me. They use their imagination with things around the house. So there's so many things to distract them versus technology. I get to also cook meals from scratch. We don't go out to eat. Maybe once a month I'll treat them somewhere, or which is rare, but I just make sure our meals are nutritious. And I notice that my girls are healthy. They maybe get a cold once a year, but they're rarely sick. Another thing, I'm available for my husband. I'm not working long hours. I just feel like home is just the place to be. It's just so relaxing. I mean, don't get me wrong. Sometimes I just can feel overwhelmed as a mother, and that's natural because your children, naturally, they're going to want mama. I mean, I don't know why, but they just, you know what? Moms are more nurturing. I couldn't see myself being nurturing if I had a career, because guess what? When you're on your feet or working long hours, mentally as a woman, we're more in our emotions. If they were in daycare and say, for example, I'm working 8 hours or more because I'm in the hair industry and I have them in daycare, and they come home, I maybe get to see them for maybe an hour or 2 hours max. How am I able to get to know my children within an hour or 2? I'm going to say this. Think about it, millennials, because I'm a 1980s baby. Who do you remember in your childhood? In my childhood, I remember my grandmother the most. My mother admitted that she used to travel back and forth, and at the time she was very young. It's hurtful because I really wish that I had more memories of her when I was a younger child versus my grandmother. Being a stay-at-home mom, it does have its challenges. I think the number one challenge is we can get very emotional. My daughter was having a tantrum and I just got frustrated. I was fussing, I was loud, and my husband walked in and he immediately knew that I was frustrated. So one thing that I love with him is that when he comes home from work, he'll get the girls ready, he'll play with them. He's just amazing overall. But I had to go in my car and I had to just drive somewhere. Look here, sometimes you are just going to have to spend some time alone, even if it's 5 to 10 minutes, just to get your mind together, just to breathe, because it's so much work. Remember, you're with that child all day, every day. You know, when you have your career, of course, you're around adults all the time. But when you're a stay-at-home mother, you're around your children. Hey, you had those children. So, I mean, it comes with the territory. Here to tell you it's hard, but it is absolutely rewarding. I mean, I just noticed my girls, the way that I teach them, I see it. They're still young, but I just noticed that I'm the type of person I like to apologize. They apologize to each other when they get upset. They love to apologize to me if they hurt my feelings. They're like, "Mommy, I'm sorry." So that's for me teaching them. And another thing is that your children learn by watching you. If my children are in daycare around other children, and usually there's a whole lot of children in daycare together, and they're watching their teacher, they're going to pick up those habits because that's what they see most of the time. They don't see you because if you have a career. So the benefits of being a stay-at-home mother is that they pick up your habits. When they get older, and they're always going to remember the teachings from you because you stayed at home and you taught them your values versus you putting your career in front of them and you don't have time for them. We are doing the work of the Lord. I can tell you that. And I'm going to put the scripture in there on why God commands us to be home with our children. I wouldn't have been molested so young if I had my mother home with me. The thing you need to do is cry. Millennials, we have a lot of childhood trauma. And that stems from mama not being home. Most of the times you're either going to be raised by your grandparents or by babysitters or the educational system. And we already know this day and age, it is horrible. It wasn't like growing up when we were in school, you know, we were always outside and, you know, it was just different. We will see the benefits because we are doing the Lord's work. It's in the word that we should be home with our children. I don't see anywhere where it says we should have a college degree. We should be running after the dollar bill. We should put our career before our children. I don't see that in the Bible. I just feel like this generation would have been not perfect, but we would have had a lot of trauma if our mothers were home. I think as in the Black community, we can do better if Black women who want to have children in the future and they're married, that they consider being a stay-at-home mother. Because just think about it. Think about our community. Just look around. A lot of us were not raised by our mothers. I'm not saying every person that was sent to school or had their grandparents or their grandmother to raise them, that they turned out to be a bad person. Just look at the crime rate. I'm not talking about any other race. Look at our race. Look at how many people were not raised by marriage folks. One of those things where I just think is important that moms need to be home. I don't even think a lot of us were taught, because I was never taught that I need to be a stay-at-home mother. Even in the church, I wasn't taught to be that. And up in a predominantly Black congregation in the church, they didn't have classes on teaching us how to be a mother, how to be a keeper at home. A lot of the things that I learned was unfortunately through social media. I'm going to give credit to this minister. His name is Brother Terrence. He had a sermon, and let me tell you, he broke it down biblically why Christian women who have children, why they need to be at home raising their own children. I went home and I thought about it, and I'm like, wow, why no one taught us this? Look, my mom, she wasn't raised in the church all her life, but I was just like, why didn't an older woman teach her this is what she needs to do? I need to be that person to break that curse. And I feel like a lot of Black mothers are starting to shift to being a stay-at-home mother, because I met maybe about 2 or 3 in the city that I live in. It was refreshing to find other mothers of color that are willing to stay home with their children, even the ones that aren't married. Like within the next 10 years, I think I'm going to see more Black women staying home with their children, especially the ones that are married. I think they're like, enough is enough. We want to see better, right? We want to see better, Black women. Put it in the comments. Say yes, we want to see better. But make sure that if you like this video, you share it. Make sure you subscribe to my channel, comment, and I'll see you in my next video.